Hey guys, it's me, Lisa. Welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time seeing one of my videos, I would just like to say thank you so much for stopping by. I appreciate having you. Would love to have you subscribe. I've got all the hair videos coming. In today's video, we are doing a little blonde transformation on Angie, very much color correction. I used to do her hair like deep red, copper, orangey, balayaged look, and we are trying to get her blonde. So we are cutting through a lot of warmth. This is our third blonding appointment. I do a mixture of baby lights, teasy lights, balayage, super custom blonde. If you guys want to see how I get Angie from this before to this after, then just keep watching. Okay guys, here is Angie's before. Angie has been every color under the sun with me. Reds, purples, some blue, some pink, lots of copper, but she has never been blonde before. And a few appointments back, Angie told me she wanted to start working towards being blonde. We have a lot of warmth to work through, a lot of bands to work through, so we are just basically doing a color correction each appointment, getting super duper intricate and detailed with it, and highlighting her exactly where she needs to be highlighted without damaging her hair at all. So you can see she's got some major roots happening. Her ends and mid shaft is very warm. We do want to break through some of that warmth, some of that gold yellow color, lighten that a bit and get a nice tone on her. Nice beigey blonde is what we're going for. So I am mixing Jacqueline Brilliant Lightener. If you guys have not tried this lightener, it is my all-time favorite. I will leave a link to purchase in the description bar down below. I am also putting a scoop of Truss 8X powder in. That is just a protecting powder. I like it. It thickens my lightener up a little bit. Can never have too much protection, so I do just like to put that in. I am using 30 volume with this, and of course, as always, Olaplex. Okay, so I am starting with Angie with a pretty good money piece. So I am just making a mohawk section based on where she usually parts her hair. And I am going to go a few foils deep and then move to her temple areas because I do just want to get a nice kind of halo of lightness around her face. You can see my baby lights around her face are very, very, very fine. You want to be able to read a newspaper through this hair, almost see through how thin your sections need to be. I like to do a nice small weave, and I do apply the lightener all the way up to the root on these, but I am careful to kind of turn that brush sideways and feather it up nice and soft so that she doesn't get any harsh lines, no bleed marks, anything like that. You can also see I am very careful where I am applying the lightener. Any pieces that are already light enough, I don't just overlap that lightener over top of those. I leave those out and kind of pull it through those darker pieces that we're trying to work on getting lighter. This is where kind of that like color correction comes into place. You can't just do a standard highlight when you have done this many processes on the hair and some of the hair is compromised. Have a very good attention to detail and be very intricate and precise with it. You can see I like to fold that foil over my tail comb. I like to do this again to prevent bleed marks if you are somebody that struggles with that a little bit. This was a big thing that I learned that helped me a lot, so I do always like to kind of leave that tab in the back so then I can go back and lock that foil in and bring it up even closer to the scalp. I am then moving over to Angie's temple and doing diagonal back sections around her face, again for a nice bright money piece around her face. Angie wears her hair up a lot. When it's up, I want her to have all of that brightness. I don't want it to just kind of be a skunk stripe where if we just did the mohawk section all the way back and then didn't get really close with those highlights around her face, it would look a little bit funny when she pulled it back. The amount of foils you'll want on this money piece all depends on your client's hair. It depends on if their hairline is thin, thick, you know, if they have any dips that come back. I just go based off of the person's hair and where I think I'm putting enough of those baby lights to really give me a good wash of brightness around the face. So for some people, if they have really thick, coarse hair, that would only be a couple highlights. If they have finer hair around the face, it would be some more. Okay, so then I applied those baby lights all around. I did the same thing as what I did on that side, and now I am going to do almost a layer of teasy lights. So now I have all these baby lights around the face, and now I want to kind of transition into a rooted look. I don't just want like a chunk of blonde on the face and then have it not really make sense. So I like to go very gradual. So I start with close baby lights, and then the further back I get on her head, the further I start working down from her scalp, because once we get back to that crown area, it is nice to have some depth in there since that's naturally what the sun would do. I am now just working in horizontal sections up the top of her head, doing teasy lights. You can see I am now not taking as thin of sections. I'm leaving a little bit of depth in between my highlights now at this point. So when I do this teasy light, I skim off that top, grab a nice thin section, weave it, give it a couple back combs to create a blurred effect. And then I start with a pretty saturated brush a couple inches down and then kind of flick that up towards that teasy light or towards that teased area, and that gives me a nice blended look. The reason we tease is because you have to imagine in your head half of that hair is moved up, so we're already feathering a nice gentle line. You can see it already would be really blended, but that teasing effect, once that hair gets combed back down, it leaves a super blurred outline. It's a pain to brush through, but the results it gets is so worth it. So I really like teasy lights. I just load my client up with Olaplex in the bowl and use my wet brush to brush through them, and that helps a lot. Again, you can see I'm leaving these ends out because I don't want to over process them. They've already been lightened a few times, so it is not necessary to pull that lightener through that last inch or so. After I do that on both sides, I am now moving to the back. Back here, I am doing a mix of painting and teasy lights. Again, this is where the color correction comes in. I just get real random with it based on what each and every section I approach looks like. So again, it's not as important for the brightness to go all the way up back here because naturally that's not what the sun would do to your hair. So I can paint here, and also we don't have quite as much lightener happening down here, so I don't have to be as careful with where I put it because the hair is a little bit more fragile up around her face because it has been lightened more. I just worked those sections all the way up, painting and doing teasy lights depending on how blonde she was already, and the closer up I got on her scalp, I switched more to teasy lights like what was around her face. Her toner formula is 09P, 09T, 08N, and 09V, so I want to cancel out any warmth. I add a little bit of that 08N just for some depth. If I just used the 9, it wouldn't have been strong enough for what Angie lifted to. I always put Olaplex in with my toners as well. So this is Angie's hair pre-toner, so you can kind of get an idea of why I chose that toner formula. A lot of the pieces are a nice pale yellow, but we do still have some of those coppery, darker pieces that I really want to tone out, and you can also see those low lights that are in there as well, which I do like those, and I am happy to have those in there. Okay, after that toner sits for about 10 minutes, I shampoo and condition it out, and then I am bringing Angie back to my chair to do a little smudge root. I like to do smudge roots because it just kind of blurs any lines at the top, helps it grow out nice and seamlessly, and just like kind of casts a shadow up top. Angie does like a lived-in look. She likes kind of a rooty look, and also her hair is naturally pretty dark, so this does help it grow out a little bit nicer and more gradually. I am using 05N and 03N in Shades EQ for her root smudge. I like to work in vertical sections for this and just kind of drag it down with my wet brush. Again, kind of keeping that same idea in mind that we want to be right around the face. I drag that root smudge down a little bit more in the back, and I keep it nice and close to her scalp up front because we do want to keep all that brightness around the face. I know 4N might seem a little extreme for a root smudge for some people who aren't very comfortable with them. It makes them nervous to go that dark, but you are putting this on wet hair, so it is already a little bit diluted, and I don't want to go the full 20 minutes. I go maybe 5 to 7 minutes. I just watch it, and when I can tell that it's ready, then I go ahead and rinse. Okay guys, and this is the after. You can see she's a nice, beautiful beigey blonde. Brought it up higher to her scalp. Love the tone that she got, and we are just working our way towards blonde. Angie booked her next couple of appointments. I did advise her to just do a tone treat trim next time. Please remind your clients to not just bleach and bleach and bleach their hair. We take it nice and slow. The last 3 appointments I have applied lightener to Angie's hair, so she is going to take a break the next appointment and just do an Olaplex treatment and a toner, smudge root depending on how her roots look, but just keep your clients' hair integrity #1 priority, because if you damage their hair, it's not going to look pretty anyway if you get them to blonde faster. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you are not already subscribed, I would love to have you, and I will see you on my next video.